Everything is not always what it seems. Things change. We can ignore them or come to a fault, a bad fault. Good morning, YouTube. It's early, and we are coming in to it's going to be a cold, cold winter when it feels like this in September. Feels like it's almost freezing. I have struggled with whether I wanted to do this, what I'm going to talk about right now and for a bit, because it has something to do with the last days of my mom and something that I had heard her say when she was in her mode to pass on. But at the same time, while I struggled, I can't struggle so much that I will think in my mind, because I don't want to do it. But when it's something that needs to be done, especially in the society we live in today, whoever can hear and has an ear, like Jesus would frequently say, let him hear if he chooses, because God gives us free will. If he chooses not to, then that's his own business. But if he chooses to, let the one hear who wants to hear. That's frequent through the New Testament in the Bible. And it's not really my business to think in my mind if I want to say something or not. It's something that is I don't want to say a job, but that's an order, quite frankly, that's a command. It's something that I need to say. It's one of our jobs as those who believe in the Lord and have that extra sense, that spiritual sense, to share what we know. So my struggles were unfounded, and I'm going to go ahead and share it, because basically I believe I have to. There's plenty of people out there that share hate and think that's okay to do that, and it can cause so many problems, and it has. And false narratives. So that's not what I'm going to do. So anyway, going into it, my mom was on her, at 2 minutes and 46 seconds. My mom was on her last days, which is her deathbed. We all know what that means. And this was the most oddest thing you could ever see. But it happens when people are dying. It's a very sensitive subject. This is about my mom. And her eyes were closed. So it looks as if almost she was asleep. And I think she was asleep to me, because that's what I saw. Her eyes were closed on that bed, on that hospital bed at home here. And I went in the room. She was at home. And I went in the room. Her eyes were closed. And it appeared to look as if she was sleeping. And she was talking literally in the state of what looked like she was sleeping. And she was mentioning, Lord, Lord, Lord. So I know who she was talking to us. Both of us believed she was talking to us. Not us, but the Lord. Both of us had a heavy and I still have heavy belief in God. So she was saying, yes, Lord, yes, Lord. And one of the things I definitely heard her say when she was saying that is, yes, Lord, I know I was wrong. I'll repeat that again. She said, yes, Lord, I know I was wrong. And I kind of looked and I was like, okay, my mom's the type of person. And I bought her a shirt with the 7 dwarfs, and there's this grumpy one. I love my mom, don't get me wrong here. But you know how moms are. They're never wrong. And my mom was the type of person that was like, I know I told you this and I know it's right. I mean, not in everything. Some things she would admit, okay, maybe I was wrong there, but You know how moms are. It's that caring toucher. They've lived life before you have, longer. And she probably wasn't on the cusp of admitting, I know I was wrong. But this, she did say, I know I was wrong. And her eyes were closed, and she was talking and saying, after that phase, yes, Lord. But the reason I say this is because a lot of us in this world, a lot of us, and including myself, sometimes will come into thinking after we've done something that was perfectly okay. And if it was adverse to what the Lord said, believer or not, if you're a believer or not, we think that's okay. We think that's okay to, spew hate or put up someone on a prompt who's spewing hate, or saying something against our brother who may not look like us and saying, oh, that's okay, I'm okay. But no, that's wrong. There's nothing okay about that. God made everything. He made everything. He made all the different things in the world. Size, color, you know what I'm saying. All different. And it's never okay to react to something different violently, whoever you are, or judgmentally, judging whoever you are. It's never okay. And I just not feel necessarily, but I walked out of the room because the conversation was private, and I felt I didn't have any business, although I heard that, to be listening to what my mom, what appeared to her speaking to the Lord. And I didn't hear any more of the conversation, but I heard enough. And I said to myself, geez, the Lord may say that to me. He may say that to me too when I'm dying. But I don't really want him to say that to me as a believer. And I know that everything I do is not right as a human being. And some things that I say might be off. And I have to be very, very careful. Not because I'm impressing myself, or because I'm trying to impress someone else, or because I'm trying to make an audience, cater to a certain type of audience. But regardless of who you are, why you are, where you are, you're something like I am, a creation of God, and we're equal on the same plane. But I have to be careful because the same God that is looking at you and that said that to my mother is looking at me. I have to be careful with every single word I say, and I appreciate it. Because when I'm lying on my deathbed, one thing I don't want to happen is for the Lord, not to come to me and make me aware of what I did was wrong. But instead, he's not founded anymore. He cannot be seeked. The only thing that happens is that I drop. And I've had that dream. That I dropped into total oblivion that's black. And I'm on my way straight to what we know as hell. And hell can be anything. It doesn't have to be fire and brimstone. It can be the cutoff and the total isolation from anything, any other soul. I've read so many stories. I've heard so many things about the afterlife. I myself have, not lately, but previously experienced falling into a vortex of a black hole where all existence was not available anymore. In near-death experience. This was a long time ago when I had a fever of 104 and I had to be rushed to ER. And that was before I was saved, before I was even thinking about the Lord. But it's not just being saved. You have to continue to do, not pretend to, or make up who Jesus is. And there's so much of this, or make up in your own idea what you want to make the Lord is. That's not the way it is. The way it is the command, like what he said, what he wants you to do. You have to go by that. go by that book. And even I would think that just the Lord talking to my mom, even him talking to her, letting her know it was wrong. Tell me you're sorry. Acknowledge that it was wrong so that we can move on and not have you suffer from it. But acknowledge it was wrong. Even on her deathbed, that's how close. And with sincerity, he is, but he's not mocked. He's not mocked. I mean, you can't keep doing things and then expect to say, oh, I'll just wait until it's just not my time. And then when he comes to me and he tells me I did wrong, though, then I can say, I'm sorry. And you don't want to take a chance like that, because what if he does not come? It just so happens he did come to my mother, which I'm very thankful of. And I know after that happened, I went back in the room about an hour from that time. And I looked at her and she was sleeping peacefully. And she looked like, when she woke up, she looked so peaceful. When she woke up and she was able to be coherent and lucid, she told me, I had the best sleep and the most wonderful dreams. And it was nice. And I'm just going to go back to rest. But I think in that instant, she was able to find forgiveness and peace. Then she started telling me about, she keeps seeing the man's hands that is being presented to her. His hands keep reaching out to her. And she told me, I know I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I says, Mom, why are you saying that? I guess I'm ignorant to the fact it's my mother. I want my mother around, who would have been 74 or 75, going on 75 today. I said, why are you saying that? And she said, because I saw the man's hands. And he was reaching out to me. And it's something you don't want to accept, but it's something you have to, because it's not given your right, life or death. I'll say that again. It's not given my right to decide life or death. Okay, but some of the most narcissistic people. Anyway. This video is not a judgment call at all. It's just a fair warning, basically. If you believe or you don't. We live in such a hate-filled, crazy, the craziest I think I ever seen. People are letting the evil just consume them. They have no inhibitions right now. Nothing. They've just released themselves to this behavior. Anything goes. I saw everything. And we're seeing it. We're seeing in these times the most worst. From the shootings, the hate speech, the lies. You cannot. How do you believe in God unless you made him your God, end quote. I think a lot of people know what I mean by that. Unless you made him specific to who you want him to be. How can you believe in the true God and hate the one next to you because he looks different, or because he's more successful, or because he seems like he's competition and you want to erase him out? However you're trying to do that, it's not feasible, because you can't, because the Lord made everything and all things, and they will continue to populate. But how can you even think error or think such bad thoughts, such bad animosity and angst, angst, is that how you spell it, toward someone you don't even know, because you just feel that you should have it and they shouldn't? Oh boy. It's really, really, really disheartening. Amen. Boy. And then you only have, if you have that option when you're leaving this earth, and the Lord gives you the option to rectify and repent, even in the times of your last days. And he talks to you, and you have the option to say back to them, like Job, like my mom. I'm not putting her in a Job level or myself or anyone else, but you have the option, because it literally is an option, because he comes to you, to say, Lord, I know what I did was wrong. And rather than him even coming to you and saying that, most likely it's better that you take into account in your everyday life that everything that you do, you take into personal account of that against the Word of God and what he wants you to do, and be honest about it. Be honest about who he is, what he wants you to do, and not fabricate it. This is the best way, because at least whatever happens, you can say you were trying your hardest and you meant it in your heart. But that's only for each and every man to do himself. Some want to, and some don't. And it's more leaning into a Sodom, if you look at the world today, because there is no immediate punishment. Men do as they will. And it's more, if you look at the world today, more of a personal choice instead of a godly, being acknowledging what the Lord wants you to do. It's more of each and every man, of a personal choice. It seems as if, I know I'm not paying attention to who's that? I'm the one who sits in my own seat, so I'm just going to do what I feel. I'm going to say what I feel. I'm going to write out who God is in a big picture and put him the way I see him. And I'm going to because I see him that way, I'm going to make myself superior to anyone else in their thoughts, because he's right up there with me, because he looks just like me, and I can say anything and do anything because God is me. And when you think you're God, or you've made him into a likeness to yourself, instead of looking at something that is awfully true as opposition to who he really is, then hell breaks loose. And you're not actually doing what God said. You're doing what you want to be and who you are and what you say. And you've made God yourself. Yeah, but that's bullcrap. That's not the way it is. And even to myself, I never run along those lines, but it can be the littlest thing. And the littlest thing. None of us are perfect, but our motives sure have to not lie, okay? Because we're wrong. That's wrong. It's wrong to fabricate something. It's wrong to say the hypocrisy in saying one thing, but doing the hypocrisy and saying, I guess I should say it like this, saying one thing for one person, but letting someone else go for another person. And it was both wrong what they did. But it was okay what they did, because they look and sound and have a visage and have a analogy like me. So they think like me, look like me, and we both made God to look like us both. So it's okay. And the hell it's not. It's sad because some people use what other people say and what they do, and they put that up against who God is, and that's not who God is. I wish they would know who God is, and that's by seeking him when he can be found, because one day he may not be found, and that day may be a terrible day, the most terrible day, or may not be the most terrible day for the person who does not take heed. It's best to the one thing you don't want the Lord to ask you or say, like the wheat and the tares, I never knew you. You were wrong, and then you don't have time to seek or acknowledge him. So hopefully you take that for heed. I know I do every day, but I'm no goody two shoes, no one is. But trying is better than not. Motives are always counted. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.